Hi everyone, I was doing some research for another video and I came across something quite amazing. Since January, all the three major news networks in America, that's CNN, MSNBC and Fox, all of them doubled their traffic on YouTube almost overnight. Why is that key for them? Well, it's key for them because of the demographic. The demographic on YouTube is the target demographic. Like 60 or 70% of their users are between the age of 25 and 54. It's a big demographic. These are the latest ratings from TV news or for cable news. And CNN, you can see there I've highlighted it in the middle in red. CNN averages 346,000 viewers a day in that demographic, as do MSNBC. Fox is a bit less. But their average age is way over that. They do get, between the three of them, about, I think, 10 million views per day. But the vast majority are outside of that demographic. CNN's average view is 67. Fox is about 124. Something ridiculous. So they've been trying to get into YouTube for a long time. And obviously, last year, they were attacking news sources on YouTube that were independent, which is where people who went to YouTube tried to get their news from. It was independent they were looking for. Look at CNN here. Statistics for CNN. And this graph here, the second one down, you can see, first of all, in the top graph, you can see, go across, and in January, there's a massive spike in the amount of views that they get. You can see that. Second one down, these are the subscribers. In January, all of a sudden, the amount of subscribers they get starts increasing massively to the point now where they've overtaken the Young Turks as the largest news network on YouTube. And you can see here again there's an uptick in total video views, but these two graphs down at the bottom, these are average views per day per month, the same statistic as I showed you from the cable. And you can see there they were getting 346,000 per day on average, around there each. On YouTube, they were getting 2 million, which is much better in the demographic. And then all of a sudden, in January, spike. They doubled their traffic. CNN weren't the only ones. Fox, massive increases in subscribers from January onwards. Total video views, and then these two at the bottom, these really show these graphs down the bottom, these show the jump. You can see they were averaging probably less than 1 million in the years before that, and then all of a sudden they doubled to over 2 million. That's Fox. MSNBC is the same. These two graphs down here, average views per day, they were averaging about 1 million views per day on YouTube. All of a sudden it jumped to nearly 2.5 million within 2 months around the beginning of the year. Let's go back to CNN, because this is where you can really see down here. I don't know which hand to use here. They really did jump. They were getting around about 2 million views per day, and then all of a sudden they jumped up to 5 million plus. I've done some statistics on this. Here are the statistics for those three. In the months beforehand, before January, they were averaging 2.5 million views a day, CNN were, and then all of a sudden since, they've immediately jumped up to averaging over 5 million. So they've doubled the amount of views they get almost overnight in January. What could cause that? MSNBC the same, almost 2.5 times their amount of views they've increased by, and Fox over double again. What could cause it? Well, before we do that, let's look at independent news shows. See if they, and not just independent news shows, all news shows, and the popular news shows on YouTube, see if they've had an uptick as well. Here's the Young Turks. They haven't. You can see they've been losing viewers. People would say that, lots of people will say that is a narrative problem. To them, I would say you've probably got a point. But here's Secular Talk. He's on 600,000 subscribers. Again, his average views. He didn't see a jump in traffic in January. Here's Sargon of Akkad, who I'm not sure he's really a news person, but still he sort of brings the news and perspectives. Again, his views have been diminishing somewhat. Here's Jimmy Dore. No big jump in January. His views have remained about pretty constant. No big jump in January there. It's Paul Joseph Watson, who's conservative. Gone all the way across the spectrum. No big jump in January. So why is it those three have jumped and doubled the amount of views they're getting on YouTube? I found a story that Amazon were in an argument with Google around the end of last year, in that Google wouldn't let Amazon have their app on their system or something like that, but Amazon had a workaround anyway, because you can still log in through your Amazon Fire Stick or whatever it is, and go to YouTube through a Firefox browser. I assume you can add that on or some way, but you can get on. So it's not that, I wouldn't think. But what did happen around that time is this: if you go to type in YouTube to their search engine, into Google, go to the news tab as I've highlighted there, and filter the time to January, you can see there were two main stories, and these dominated stories about news about YouTube. First one is Logan Paul, who is a vlogger who did something incredibly stupid. I'm not going to go into it. In search for clicks, in my opinion. And people were outraged that there were advertisements on his channel. In fact, I think he was a partner of YouTube, and they scrapped that partnership, but he's still monetized. He still gets money from advertisement, just not as a YouTube partner. But you can see there at the bottom, the big story was YouTube toughens its regulations as to what a person had to go through, what a company had to go through to be able to be monetized on their platform. That's when it came in January. These two things must be connected. They must be. And it looks like these rules that YouTube have implemented has massively, massively helped mainstream and corporate news channels and screwed independent and alternative news. Now, these changes didn't come overnight, just in case anybody thinking it was Logan Paul's fault. No, they didn't come overnight. They've been, as this article from The Guardian stated the month before, I think this was in December last year, YouTube faced heightened scrutiny last month in the wake of reports that it was allowing violent content to slip past the YouTube Kids filter, which is supposed to block any content that is not appropriate for young users. Some parents recently discovered that YouTube Kids was allowing children to see videos with familiar characters in violent or lewd scenarios, along with nursery rhymes mixed with disturbing imagery, according to the New York Times. They've been under a bit of a wave of criticism, YouTube have, going back a while. This caused adpocalypse. But the thing is, it's those mainstream channels, along with the media such as the Washington Post, New York Times and BBC, that are actually have forced them into making these changes. And it looks like they've bent over and grabbed their ankles. It really does. And said, there you go. How far, sir? Looks like YouTube and Google have bent to the will of these three news. How do you explain that sudden jump? Double in all three networks, doubled them overnight in January. That's the only thing I can see that could have caused this. Now, Google say in statements that their algorithm does not favour channels with advertisement on. But whatever they did in January certainly favoured those three news channels and didn't favour alternative and independent media. It's further proof that the table is tilted, in my opinion. It's further proof that the game is rigged, and George Carlin, his famous sketch, is absolutely 100% true. They're coming after us. They really are. And they are doing everything they possibly can to make it so that corporate media, mainstream media, are the ones that shape the narrative of the future. And not just the future, but how history will be written. We've got to fight back against this. It's going to be really interesting to see if YouTube, because I am going to ask this question of them, what explains this doubling of traffic for those three companies? Can you explain it? Because it certainly seems to me like your algorithm change back in January massively helped them and shafted independent media at the same time. You draw your own conclusions, but I know which side of the fence I'm on. These things look like they're connected. Let's ask YouTube, see what they say. But it does look like, as I say, the table is tilted and the game is rigged. Support independent media. If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Independent voices like mine, I'm sure you're aware by now, are being censored across all social media platforms, so please like and comment on the videos. That really does help the channel out, and share the videos wherever you can to grow the audience. If you can, please support me on Patreon. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. I cannot do this without your help. I rely on your donations. Thanks very much for your support. It really is appreciated. Until next time, peace and take care.